Hello everyone, welcome to PHTV Channel 4 in Palos Heights. I'm Sue Jankowski and we are here with the Travel Show. As always, we are here with our good friend Kathy James from Class Act Travel in Worth.
Hi guys.
To the program again today.
Thanks. Yeah, great.
It's nice to have you here. And Kathy always brings us a great guest, and today we have Faith Babbitt. Welcome to our program today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, great to have you. Faith is the district sales manager for Trafalgar, Cost Saver, and Brendan Vacations. Those are probably companies you've heard of, and now we're going to tell you a lot more about, fun things you can do, which is what we do on this program. We get your wish list going so that you can plan a really great vacation. You might notice that we have lots and lots of brochures here, so I think these companies go to lots and lots of great places you haven't been, or you've been and want to go back to, or just love it so much you just always are planning a trip there. Anyway, Faith, thanks for being here. And so I guess, first of all, it looks like these companies basically go almost everywhere in the globe.
We do. We have over 60 countries that we operate in, with over 223 different trips that people can choose from.
Wow. Okay. So they can kind of just choose anywhere they want to go. And explain what these companies do. So if you say, look, we're going to sign up with Trafalgar because they have a great package that we like, is that just, how do we go about doing that, I guess is my question.
Sure. Well, the majority of our business is through travel agents. So travel agents are the experts, they're our partners, they're the ones that are going to be able to match the right person on the right trip at the right time.
Boy, is that a good point, too, to make sure that what you're giving that person is what he wants and what's going to work for him. That's a very good point. That really is.
And, they spend a lot of time in their careers becoming educated. We have a lot of different travel agent education opportunities, whether we're getting the agents out on trips or coming in and working with them in different ways so that they can, when you're coming in and you're not sure where in the world that you want to go, they can very quickly get to why you're traveling, how you want to travel, how fast you want to go through a destination, what the things are important to you, and then they're going to use one of these great books that really, they're dream books,
Dream books. Okay. So let's just take, for example, someone says, I really want to do, I don't know, they want to go to Italy. That's at least a little bit more contained. What would the company do? What's a typical trip for people?
So at Trafalgar, our trips are guided vacations. So you're on a luxury air-conditioned motor coach that has beautiful, huge windows. You have Wi-Fi. You have all the plug-in devices for all of your, charging purposes. And you have somebody who's in charge of that coach, so the driver, who's going to take care of tolls and entrance fees and parking and maintenance and all of that thing. And then you have a travel director, and the travel director is in charge of the people. He or she is the cultural concierge of the program to really make sure that every single person on that trip has the time of their life. Everything from recommending the best local coffee shop to taking care of any security concerns is, moment by moment, night by night, making sure that everything runs smoothly.
Well, then they can also tell you cute little stories about the areas that you're in that you would not know unless somebody's telling you that. Even if you would try and do this on you would not know these things because they know those cute little anecdotes about where you're at, what you're seeing, or whatever. I think that's very important too for
Absolutely.
people.
Absolutely, you're totally right on that because a lot of our travel directors, they'll go through training even longer than people when they're learning how to fly a plane, and they are experts in every inch of these places where they're taking these groups. And so we have on some of our trips what's called hidden treasures, and those are items on a day-to-day basis that aren't in the itinerary, that are surprises, that are based upon the interests of the travelers or the special knowledge of the travel director, where they're going along throughout their week and they think they have everything figured out because they've read the itinerary, and then there'll be this special moment
thing, right?
That's this wasn't planned, but we're going to be...
We get to do it.
We get to do this, which will surprise and delight them and keep them coming back for more.
I think that's so great for people, especially new. If you've never been to Italy and you want to be there, but you're not familiar with anything, the customs, the language, the reading the signs and so forth, to jump in a car and start driving around. You might not actually get the full value of your vacation or your tour if you don't know anything. You know, if
Right.
you need someone explaining, what are you seeing and what is this all about?
Exactly,
And if you do it by yourself, which I know is an adventure too.
It is.
But you're not really.
You don't know it.
You don't really
Yeah.
know anything,
Right.
for the most part.
You're just looking at, oh, look at that pretty building, and that's about
Yes.
as far as it goes.
So we like to, make sure that people really go deeper and go get under the skin of a destination. So the experience is not the coach, although it's a great part of it. The experience is the people, the food, what they're seeing. The three pillars that Trafalgar represents is that we are authentic, effortless, and fun. And
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
We want the experience to be very authentic, kind of trip that you would have, or the things that you would see had you been having that off on your own adventure and finding things that are amazing to you. But the planning of said adventures is going to be effortless, and the navigation and the process and trying to figure out where these things are and how to get there and the drive
driving
time
and the driving,
all
yeah.
of that.
Yeah,
and
that's
then ultimately
nuts.
we're a fun company too. We're not stuffy. We're not it's more wear what you're going to wear, have fun, get to know your people sitting next to you and around you, and come back with lots of stories to tell.
I got to tell just a quick little story about Trafalgar. I had a couple, a mom and the daughter, come into the office a while ago, and they wanted to go to Britain, England, and see it all. So we got a Trafalgar trip set up for them, and off they go. And she comes back later. She said, "It was incredible. We had such a great time. We loved our guide. He had on one of those hats that they wear. He had his umbrella. Whenever he wanted to gather the group together, because they were going to move from here to there, it was tally ho, and off they would, and that's the things that they remembered so much, that he was such a good guide for them and showed them so many neat things that just stuck in their heads on the whole thing. So that's a big part. That is an absolute big part of this.
Okay, so you're in a motor coach to get from spot to spot. Where are you staying?
So all of our hotels are 4 to 5 star city center locations. So what that means is we definitely don't want you to, when you get to a place and you have some free time, to have to rent a car and go, figure out where you're going to have dinner. You're going to be able to just walk steps from your hotel and find, the world's best. Whether it's, let's say you're in Britain and you want to find a pub with fish and chips, or you're someplace else and you want to go high end. Most of the time, on all of our trips, I should say, breakfast is always included. So you have a full buffet breakfast or cook to order. Most of the lunches are on your own, and usually about half the dinners are included, and those are going to range from different kinds of dinners, regional specialties, but those are group dinners where it's included, and often includes local wine. But then usually about half the dinners you're on your own. And that allows people, whether you're in search of a Michelin starred or you want that more casual experience, to really find your own happy place and
cool.
and be able to have some of your own time.
And that is important, to be able to kind of search around. Now that you feel a little comfortable with where you are, with the background that they've given you, it's important for you to kind of branch out and kind of experience the place on your own a little bit too, but have the safety net of someone who
right there.
you
Exactly.
can contact and say, we're lost, or we don't know what we're doing, or where should we go, or whatever.
And so I was on a trip this summer with the company. It was called Best of the Canyonlands, and it went from Denver to Vegas, and it went through like the Moab Desert and Monument Valley and Arches, and we stayed at this lovely little hotel in Moab, and there was 6 different restaurants. Like, you could throw a rock right from the front door of the hotel. But the travel director, when we arrived, was like, "Okay, tonight's free," and he sent around this is what our next steps are. Here's what we're doing, and here's some recommendations for some restaurants if you like this, if you like that. Here's the budget. So
That's
that
cool.
everybody was really, given those options. And of course, because we do have Wi-Fi, it's very easy just to get on your phone and look up stuff. But if somebody else can take that moment and give you a place to
That just
start.
helps, because he's giving you an idea about it. And that's just a little bit of an extra thing that you will, again, remember about Trafalgar and how good they were with the little perks that mean so much to people.
Okay, you mentioned going out west and seeing some of these things, and I think it's important for people to realize too. I mean, there's a whole book on the U.S. and Canada here, and there's a lot of people that go out of the country, but they've actually never seen this country, and I actually tell them, hey, you really should look around here, because we have everything, deserts and mountains and Greenlands, and I mean, we have just
We have
everything.
all the stuff, yep.
We've got it all. So it's nice to know that there are tours that you can take right here in the U.S. or Canada, which is, a
Yeah,
friendly
we do.
neighbor.
I mean, we have, our biggest seller for sure is Europe and Britain, the most content there, with Italy being number one for us. But the state park trips are by far in Hawaii are very, very popular. Simply because, like you said, people, a lot of times especially if you're younger, you think, I have X amount of vacation time, I want to go as far as I can. But sometimes as people get older or whatever phase of life, you want to stay closer to home too. Mm-hmm. So the idea that you can go to all these state parks, you can see all these monuments without paying the fees to get into the national parks, without having to worry about ticketing into major monuments like Pearl Harbor. Having the ease of knowing, I'm going to see the most important parts of these destinations, but I don't have to plan that myself. It's all there and
ready to go. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things we try and tell people. If you are going to go to Hawaii, you need to do Pearl Harbor before you go. You've got to set that up because it just they only allow so many, and then it's gone. And you can't do it that day because of the Navy tour. There's only so many on there, and it's a shame. You go all that way and then
you can't do it.
And that's why the guaranteed ticketing is key.
That is really key on that, absolutely.
And we have at all major monuments, so looking at places like the Eiffel Tower, the Vatican, Pearl Harbor, we have the guaranteed ticketing as well as cut the line privileges. So what that means is when the coach rolls up, instead of getting in this big queue that is going to, you have to wait hours to get in, you're going to be immediately handed your ticket and welcome. And
you got the fast pass thing going.
You do, and it's not extra.
There's Disney again. We can't escape Disney at all.
It's always something. That is a great benefit.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that Europe and Britain and Italy, which we've done just a little bit about, are very highly sought places.
And Ireland too.
In Ireland,
hugely popular.
So, what do people like to do when they go? Do they particularly like taking a tour of many places in? Do you have that kind of tour where you start in France and you go to Austria and Switzerland, or do you have here you're in Britain, or here you're just in? We're really just going to really experience Germany.
So that's a very good question. We actually have 8 different travel styles to choose from. So we're definitely not a one-size-fits-all company. We're a company that provides niche opportunities across the spectrum. So whether you want to, we have our Explorer series, which is what you mentioned, where you go from London all the way to Rome. We have country discoveries country explorers where you're just doing, so we have, best of Britain, or you can do just England, So depending on if you want to see a really large geographic area, or we even have what's called city explorers, where you can spend the entire week with the driver, guide, and all of the regular things that are included in a trip, but not have to unpack and pack. You're just staying in
one hotel,
one city for the whole time, and really exploring that city in depth.
Just doing that whole area, in other words, seeing everything that's right in that spot.
Yeah, so you could literally do all, a whole region. You can go, we have trips that range from 6 days all the way to a month long, just depending on how much time you have, how much vacation time, and how much budget.
And how much money. Sorry to bring that up, but how much money too on that one.
Okay, so now, we have a lot to choose from. It's kind of your style. Do I really, really want to learn just about this country? Do I want to touch everything because I've never been? So I guess you have to decide that ahead of time. But now, there's several facets to your company here. So you have Trafalgar, then you have Cost Saver, which obviously that Cost Saver says a lot. Now, what would be the difference between going with a Trafalgar trip and a Cost Saver trip?
Sure. So I'm going to go back just one step if I can.
Sure.
And talking back about the travel style. So I talked about the geography, where you can do one city or multiple countries. We also have, we've broken it out a little further. So we have what's called at leisure, where you're wanting to stay at least 2 nights or more in each city, and you're not getting you're not leaving any earlier than 9 a.m. We also have family adventures, which those are experiences, the family experiences that are geared towards the multi-generational experience.
Oh, that's fun.
We also have small group departures, which are 26 people or fewer, and they go off the beaten path locations. And we have special interests. So if there's anybody that's interested in religious travel, there's a there's a thing called set jetting, which is traveling to movie or TV locations around the
really?
world. And so we actually have themed, so like Outlander, Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones, things like that, where you can experience World War I and II battlefields, the sound of music. Like if you have a specific thing that you want to see.
That's cool.
So what you're going to get with Trafalgar is you have all those choices, and whether it's small group, big group, long tail, short tail. You're always going to be in the city center locations. One of the big things that we include with Trafalgar is our Be My Guest dining experiences, and that is where you're actually going to a local family's home, their castle, their inn, their bed and breakfast, whatever it is, and their farm, and you're breaking bread with them. You're getting to know them. So it has a lot of inclusions. We can do things like a private dinner at the Vatican after hours in the Ethnological Museum. Some really, really special extras that are included. So Cost Saver has all of the comfort of a Trafalgar trip. So the same comfort level of coach, the same experienced travel director, the same wonderful locations. The difference is that the hotels are going to be a little bit further out than the city center. They could be more like suburban properties, and some of those optionals, the things that are included, they're going to have less included.
Yeah.
And how that's a good thing is if there's people who want the accommodations, the transfers, the guides, the things like that, but they want more free time, and they really only want to pay for the things that they totally want to do, and they want to have more time on their own, they're going to be a great cost saver guest.
That's cool.
That is a nice choice. I'm very excited to hear that the choices you have for multi-generational, and I like the leisure time. You don't always want to get up at 7 o'clock and get started. Going at 9 and having 2 nights in a place is
nice.
it's
That's
just
cool.
That really is. I
Yeah.
think you can spend a little more time, observe a little bit more, enjoy where you are a little bit longer. But that's not for everybody either. So it's nice you have so many choices for every single person could find something.
And that's why I always said, working with the travel agent is going to be key to this process, because you can get overwhelmed by the choices. And I do like the certain special interest thing, but I'm really more a small group person, or or how to figure out what's the most important things to that person, what to get out of that trip.
Yeah. Now I have heard of people going. I didn't realize there was. I just didn't think about it, but they've gone to places where Lord of the Rings was filmed, and they took a whole
Game of Thrones is a big one,
and it's just like, wow, okay, I guess they really want to see where that's so interesting to them that they want to go there and actually, experience it.
It's very, very popular.
Yeah.
I mean, I live in Woodstock, Illinois, which, as you know, or maybe you don't know, it's where they filmed the movie Groundhog Day.
I was in Woodstock, darling little town.
And that was last month, and we had thousands of people there because 21 years later.
Oh my gosh, they're still showing up.
They're still showing up to see.
It was a good movie.
And so we've kind of, unfortunately, Trafalgar does not have a trip to Woodstock.
No, come on.
But you mentioned
your car, go.
Home of Game of Thrones. We have a trip called Home of Thrones, and that is a self-drive through Northern Ireland, and we actually
where there's a lot of it filmed.
The scene here is in a location where
that's pretty.
And you can actually do a self-drive, and you go around, and we give you a passport with different locations from the movie sets, and you can go and visit those locations and take pictures. And
it's just interesting. That is kind of cool.
Well, it is. If you're really into some show, movie, or whatever program, that's exciting to actually experience that there.
It is. It's a neat thing to do. It's a neat little plus. On the whole thing too. Yeah.
Now I notice in these brochures too, there's one that's seasonal. So you're saying this is better to go somewhere. I really want to go somewhere in autumn, and those are listed in there as.
Yeah, so she has right there the autumn, winter, spring book.
Okay.
And the regular trips here, they start sometime in March, maybe April, and they run through the fall. That's the peak season. This one has trips that run, after these end and before these begin.
Oh,
and
okay.
The great thing about the off season in Europe specifically is the crowds are a lot lower, the prices are lower. You know, you can maybe actually walk through the Palace of Versailles and actually not have 1 million people in your shot because there's not
so many people.
So many
and then
people there.
The weather
Yeah.
might not be as warm either because later in the summertime it gets pretty toasty in
does.
some of the places, and
Yeah.
this would probably be better for weather-wise.
I would think pricing would be the a real key element.
Yep.
You know, people plus pricing would make it a better
Well,
trip.
and some of the things that we have where it's focusing on the Christmas markets. So we have, you know, we're going to go to these capitals of Europe and get to experience these cities all dressed up for the holidays.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
And if
Yeah.
you've ever been to Europe during that time, when you see these amazing huge trees and decorations that are just breathtaking, that you can't see any other time of the year than, you know, over the
Would have
holidays.
been, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so you have that option too. Okay, well, I mean, I just,
There's a lot.
I mean, you can just do
there's a lot.
whatever. And now there you have a whole brochure, a booklet on family experiences. How would that differ? So you're taking your children, but you're also taking your grandmother with. So you do, that's a wide range. You could have
It
a
is.
6-year-old and an 80-year-old.
Yeah, so in my family, I have triplets that are 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
And we travel also with my husband's grandmother, who's 95 years old.
Oh, my
And
goodness,
she's,
good for
she's
her.
slowing down a little bit now.
Yeah, well, I would
but
think at
a few
95.
years back, she would have been the perfect candidate for this because she liked to stay really busy. She liked to go, see, you know, she's very well traveled and used to do so independently, but got to a point where she needed, you know, a little more direction and a little more, didn't want to do all the work and the planning. So somebody like her who wants to see the world, wants to see it again through the eyes of her children and grandchildren,
Yeah.
and wants to do so in a effortless fashion, can, you know, go with her adult children. They can bring their kids. It's good for all of our trips are actually good for ages 5 and up, so 5 to 95 basically.
That's cool.
But you're going to do some special things. So, you know, going back to the Italy reference, maybe instead of doing the after-hours dinner at the Vatican, which would be on one of the regular itineraries, on our Italy family experience, they're going to go to gladiator school in Rome.
Oh,
how
that
fun.
has got to be cool for the
You know,
kids. Yeah, yeah.
In one of our Great Britain itineraries, they actually get to stay at a 13th century castle in Wales and do a back of house butler housekeeping experience to see how a castle's run.
That is cool. Yeah.
Back to the state parks reference, we have a Cowboys and Buffaloes where they actually get to go to a roundup and they get to stay at a traditional Montana homestead. Another one where they get to ride the Grand Canyon Railroad. So, I mean, it's plenty of adults go on them too without kids in tail, just because of the energy level and the fun and the dynamic of having people of a wide variety of ages.
Yeah, that sounds really great too, and an
Interesting.
unforgettable experience for the whole family
Yes.
to do something like that together. That sounds wonderful. Well,
Okay,
I
when do
don't
we
know.
go? Are you ready?
You mean Emmanuel?
Yeah.
It all sounds good.
Pick one and we'll go, huh?
Faith, is there anything else people should know about your company in particular, so when they call Kathy, they can really specifically say that's for me. You know, I like that level of care.
Yeah. So we didn't mention, but Brendan Vacations is part of the equation too, and they do Ireland and Scotland. So just to keep that in mind, if there's anybody interested, and if they're not interested in a guided vacation, Brendan does more of the independent, but everything is still planned. So you can actually do rail, self-drive, private concierge or chauffeur trips where it's just you and you have your driver guide. So that makes Ireland and Scotland, you can do it either way.
And I think you
Great
guys
choice.
also offer the tattoo in Edinburgh, Scotland. That is in July or
Yep.
August, I believe, every
we
year.
do. All of our guided trips that go to Scotland in August include
August.
that Edinburgh
Military
tattoo,
Yeah.
which is a great point.
It's an amazing spectacle. Amazing. Just in the castle's grounds, and you've got these military bands and military from everywhere, and it's just massive. It's just unbelievable. It's a cool thing to
Yeah,
see.
I'm hoping to see that someday. You know, I think the timing, you know, trying to decide, is that for me? So first of all, you have to look at the season. So are you an off-peak person or a peak person? Are you a small group? Are you a big group? Are you, you know, the things that we discussed? Sometimes some of the savings amounts come into play too. Right now, we do have an early booking discount available, and it's 5% off your trip if you book and pay in full by the end of April. There's some higher discounts earlier in the year. So if somebody's thinking about doing this for next year, they could receive additional discounts for booking early. There's also discounts available if you're going as part of a group. If you're a past guest of Trafalgar, we are part of the Travel Corporation, which has many different brands. So Uniworld Cruises, Kentucky, Insight Vacations, Red Carnation Hotels. If any of our viewers have traveled within any of those brands, they would get a 5% repeat guest discount to travel with Trafalgar, Brendan, or Cost Saver as well.
Oh, that's good to know too. And good to kind of stick with one company then, because if you were satisfied, then you're getting a little bit of a discount and a little special perk there to receive that kind of discount.
And people like little perks that they can get.
You're darn right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, the important thing is with a trip is that it ends up to be what you imagine will be a wonderful time, and having the trip that you want. And that's where you come into play with the mentioning of you're a small group. Do you want to be with your family? Do you mind off season? Do you want to see Christmas in Germany? What do you want? And then you'll be having a great trip. Yeah, that sounds great.
And we like to stay consistent with the offerings and the quality, and we're just going to change it up. You might be having be my guest at a castle here, but you might be doing it at a farm here, or it just really depends on the authenticity of if it makes sense for that specific place. But we want people to be able to come back year after year and have those unique experiences. And then if one of the years they decide to try one of the other brands, go on a cruise, do something else, that they're still going to be able to come back and stay with the family.
That's where a lot of times the travel agent will come in handy, because we have to listen to what you're saying to us and kind of weed through what you're saying as to what you want to do and try and say, I think this fits what you're looking to do.
This is better for you.
This is a better thing for you to do here than this. This just won't work.
Especially if you come to you often, you kind of get a feel for that. That's not something for you. This seems more like what you would prefer.
And that's how you get to know the person and how you can work with them. And then you're giving them a better experience because you do know them and you do know what they want. Same idea as sticking with Trafalgar or sticking with an agent, because then they know what's going to work and what isn't going to work for you.
Well, you got a lot of choices for sure. Kathy can guide you through them, and if she needs any assistance, I'm sure she can call Faith, and
she has my cell phone number.
She will hound her and find a trip for you. So I hope that you go out and give Kathy a call and look through some of these wonderful books and get some ideas about what you want to do with your vacation, and then go out and enjoy yourself. So thanks, Faith, for being here today.
And we hope to welcome you to Trafalgar to find your happy place sometime soon.
I would love to find out place with Trafalgar. That sounds like a great idea. Kathy, thanks for being here.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
And we'll see you next time on The Travel Show. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
All right. I'm going to find my happy place right now.